Why, as a married man, I think you shouldn't get married. I'm not here to give you orders. It's not like I know something you don't, or that I have some mysterious doorway to another world that lets me in and feeds me truth and beauty while the rest of you just sit around and send each other pictures of your butts on Snapchat. But I'm married, which is something I never thought I'd do. I never wanted to be this. My wife makes me happy. I don't regret marrying her. Still, I am very aware of all the reasons why people choose not to get married. I've been in a relationship for 16 years, and I've learned that there are some pretty good reasons to do it. But it's not as fun to talk about those. So, here's why this married man thinks no one should get married. It's a lot of money. A wedding now costs about $44,000 on average. And it's possible to have more than one in your life. There are much better ways for a couple who is serious about each other to spend that much money than at a party full of weird traditions. One option is to buy a house. You could go everywhere. You could quit your job and start a business. You could save it for college for the kids. But instead, millions of people pay a lot of money to watch a horror show that might as well be a ritual castration for all the appeal it has to the rest of us. Don't get married. And if you do, don't spend much money on it. Chair covers are a waste of money for literally everyone on the planet. I didn't want to get married at all. And my wife, didn't care much. Our parents never put any pressure on us. They were happy to let us live our lives on our terms. Before we got married, I was with my wife for more than 10 years. And I think Brexit is to blame for making me do it. When Britain decided to leave the EU, I lost the right to live and work in Europe. During the transition period, I decided to travel more and see more of the world. My Canadian wife needed that official stamp as if a 10-year relationship was less important than a license I got at the drugstore. We got married in a public park near our house that looked out over the ocean and the mountains. We didn't get the permit we needed to hold the ceremony in a public park, so we kept it short. Before I showed up, my brother and I kicked any dog poop we could find into the harbor and shook the bushes to get rid of the junkies. We do love each other, so our marriage wasn't fake. No piece of paper is needed to tell us that. It's an old way of doing things. There are many traditions and customs surrounding marriage. That's a clear sign that something is full of crap. Traditions that people blindly follow have given us things like female genital mutilation, the stoning of people who don't believe in God, and so many bad Super Bowl halftime shows. When you do something just because it's what you've always done, you're probably doing something you shouldn't. Marriage is one of the most common things that people do all over the world. And just like every other institution, it's all about control. Anywhere a man goes, he can have kids, but only his wife can give birth to legitimate heirs. And can you think of anything worse than the idea of a dad giving his daughter to some guy? They might as well stick a ring in her nose and drag her to the market. Yes, marriage hurts women. But it does the hard thing of also being misogynistic. Women today are not things that can be bought and sold. They are also not helpless people who can't make it on their own without a husband and should get half of his assets and full custody of the kids if the marriage falls apart. The way marriage is done now is bad for everyone in some way. We planned and held our wedding in just over a month. I never asked her to marry me, and there was no ring. Did you know that engagement rings are a way to make sure you don't lose your virginity? I did. I didn't buy one because of this. It has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a cheapskate on an Olympic level. We didn't have an aisle because we got married in a park. But A's father walked her through the park to start the ceremony. He was dressed to the nines. It could be old and male-dominated. But she had asked for it. It was very important to her. And now that he's gone, it means even more to her. That's not cool. The idea of getting married is the worst thing ever. It's what our grandparents did when they weren't boiling their food, buying houses for 6 months' pay, or fighting off the Hun. We think we're cooler than that. This is much sexier. It sounds fun and risque when someone says they have a boyfriend or girlfriend. When someone says they have a husband or wife, it's like saying they have a bedtime. Before he died, I saw A's dad one last time at our wedding. And it was the last time my father, who loves Canada, came to visit. He probably won't ever do it again. He's been all over the world, but he wants to stay in one place now. He cared more about my wedding than I did. He got a divorce, but he didn't want to. He is a Catholic, and like geese, Catholics stay with the same person for life and fly south in the winter. I just made up that last part. He's changed the way he looks at me. I'm already married. I seem more respectable, like I've done more. Even though I think his old-fashioned prejudice is silly, I'm glad it's important to him. Even though it was for immigration reasons, I'm glad he got to see one of his kids get married. Nobody should just live their lives to make their parents happy. But they won't be around forever. Sometimes it's nice to follow some of their rules. It must be fun. Fun that is forced never works. Christmas. Christmas. Birthdays. Retirements. If you want to have the best time of your life, you're setting yourself up for failure from the start. The best times are when you don't know what to expect and just go with the flow of the day or night. Those are the times when crazy magic happens. The meeting by chance. The strange journey. Those are the times when you feel the most alive. The opposite of that is sitting in a soulless reception hall and listening to someone's great-aunt talk about her hip surgery over and over again. It's like being in the waiting room of a doctor's office, except you had to get all dressed up. Nothing is stopping you from having a party with all your friends and family. You don't need to get married. You don't even need someone with you. And if you're already married, just throw a party for no reason. Most likely, it will be a lot more fun than the big wedding you were looking forward to. I met A at a bar. Even though we are no longer young enough to go to a downtown pub on a weekend night, we went there the night we got married just to keep up with the times. We didn't have any ID with us, but a wedding dress is like a magic wand that opens locked doors. No one wants to tell a bride no. Also, it never hurts to give the doorman $20. It made me miss the place where we first met. Even though it made us feel like we were as old as dirt next to the young babies acting like fools at the bar. It was kind of cool to see where everything started. But we also couldn't wait to get away. We've never been back. Because once you're old enough, going to a bar is bad. Most likely, it won't work out. Half of all marriages end up in divorce. You likely already know that. Those aren't bad odds, but they're also not very good. When you think about some of the horrible reasons why people stay with their partners, the odds look even worse. If you're the kind of person who will stick with someone no matter what and will put up with anything because you made a legal promise, you might be able to make it through marriage. But what's the point? We all think that we are unique. We all think we'll be the ones who beat the odds. Everyone who got a divorce thought the same thing. They did, and so did the parents of most of my friends. But people change over time, and making a lifelong commitment when life is so goddamn long is like promising someone, you'll always be 26. Not at all. You can't. What you are talking about is a story from childhood. Yes, I'm a cynic. But you can only see once happy relationships fall apart so many times before you start to doubt the whole idea of love. Even a cynic like me must admit that it's kind of stupid to not do something just because it will end one day. In the end, everything comes to an end. The vows are written this way because marriages that don't end in divorce end in death. All dead people are single. And being cynical can be a good thing. It's all over. Every good meal, every good movie, and every beautiful sunset on a beach in paradise. If you don't do something because you know it won't last forever, you don't do anything. And that is not a good way to live.